All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Today is April 10th, 2024. This meeting is for our LJ Realty team. So let's get started with our interest rates. The interest rates, according to Freddie Mac, they were hovering around 6.82 for your 30-year fixed rate versus 15 years of 6.06. So when you look at these interest rates, you say, hey, where are we heading? We're heading around 7. We're sticking around 7. For past this whole year, we have seen this chart here, weekly basis, just go maybe 20 basis point higher, 20 basis point lower, 30 basis point higher, 30 basis point lower. So if any of your client is asking you, what are the interest rates? They're around 7%. Okay, that's the key. It's around 7%. So one of the clients that we're talking to, hey, I have a property, but I'm locked in at 3.5% interest rate. That person is not going to sell that house unless they really have to. They're not going to buy a new house. Why would they? They were locked in at 3.5. Now they have to go with 7%. So that is one of the biggest reason that we have why there's no inventory or very limited inventory, because people don't want to sell if they don't have to. Right? People who are upgrading when they really need to, some of them are just upgrading their own property so they can live there for the next 2 to 3 years or maybe 5 years. And when the interest rate come down, then they'll sell. Okay, but just know the interest rates are around 7%. So in the news, your mortgage rate stuck near 7%, but buyers are still active. So don't think that, hey, there's no buyers out there. There are limited buyers. There's buyers who are thinking twice before buying the house. It's perfectly fine because they want to buy a house. It's going to be one of the biggest purchases of their life. So they want to take their time. It's perfectly fine. But just know that there's still active buyers. There's still investors out there, first-time home buyers who are coming into even our office today morning. First-time home buyer have no idea about interest rates or anything like that. You want to be their guide. They might not be ready today, but you want to be their guide to explain to them the steps and everything. Okay? But just know there's still active buyers out there. And the second article spoke about, should the mortgage market welcome the new normal? What is the new normal? It's around higher interest rates, 7%. Will people welcome that? This spring, they don't have any choice. So if you think that the people are going to wait until 5% interest rates to come down to 5%, they're going to be waiting a long time. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Okay? So how far will mortgage rates fall when the Feds start cutting rates? So we're expecting 3 rate cuts. If they do come down, what are the chances that it comes below 6%? It is not going to happen anytime soon. So if you have clients that you're showing them and say, hey, I'm going to wait, I'm going to put in an offer when the interest rates are below 6%, you can show them this article that, is not going to happen anytime soon. We can see that the rates hit 8% towards end of last year, and right now they're around 7. So going from 7 to 6 is not going to happen overnight. So when the Feds do cut the rates, they're going to do it by 25 basis points. So even if they're coming down by 25 basis points, we are not going to see below 6% anytime soon. Okay, so when should we see this below 6%? First quarter of 2025. So next year around this time or before this, we should start seeing the interest rates below 6%. Okay, so what happens throughout this year? So it's going to be held steady throughout 2024. We're thinking that mortgage rates won't fall much as what people would expect. So throughout this whole year, you're going to see that the interest rates is going to be above 6%, hopefully below 7%. Okay. So the bottom line here is that when you find a home, this should be what you're telling your clients. So if you find a home that you love inside your budget, that's the biggest one. If you can find a property that's going to be within your budget, you should buy it now, because the mortgage rates are unpredictable, right? They're going up and down all the time, but the home values are not. So the property that you're buying today, if you're going to refinance down the line, you should have already built some equity over time. So when you're saying this, interest rates are high, how are you going to tell your clients, hey, let's find you the right property within your budget and you can refinance it down the line. Okay. So why feds are not cutting rates? Just because the economy is good. So Fed would, Federal Reserve would cut the rates when they see that, hey, they need to. Why did they cut the rates in during COVID time? Because there was no activity going on in the market. Everybody was sitting at home, right? There was no activity. There was no people buying or selling because everybody was just scared. So prior to that, when they start cutting the rates, there were so many buyers out there. The prices surge. So right now it's quite the opposite. So the economy is doing good. Economy, added over 300 jobs in March. So that's a good sign for the economy. The inflation is coming down, right? We've seen that it's around 3%. So the Fed's target is 2%. So why would Fed want to mess with that if everything is going their way? Okay. So don't expect these rate cuts to happen anytime soon just because the economy is doing well. Okay. On a positive note, your credit scores, even for the home buyers, credit scores are increasing. Maybe people are managing their credit well, but the average credit score hit 737. That's an all-time high according to Optimal Blue data here. So that's a good sign for realtors. That's a good sign for mortgage loan officers when you see people with good credit scores. So what does that mean? That they can qualify for FHA or conventional loans. So obviously you would need 580 credit scores for FHA, conventional 620. So if someone has 737 credit scores, they should have lower interest rate offered by the lender if they have 730 versus 620 or 580. Okay. So next, guys, this is a really important one. This is when you might be talking to your client and maybe one of the household had a bankruptcy, short sale, or foreclosure. So even if one of the co-signers had one of these, they have to have a waiting period. So just for your knowledge, there's two different programs that they can go with, either FHA or conventional. If they go with FHA, this might be a better option if you went through a bankruptcy, short sale, or foreclosure, just because you see the years waiting period versus your conventional. So for bankruptcy, they have to wait 2 years for FHA or 4 years for conventional, right? FHA for a short sale, you have to wait 3 years versus 4 years for conventional. And for your foreclosures, 3 years for FHA and 7 years for conventional. So we always say, hey, is short sale better or foreclosure better for the owner, right? If I'm going through a hardship, maybe I have some, I lost my job and I cannot make the payments, and it's been 2 years now. Short sale is always a better idea. One is that it will have a less of an effect on your credit scores. Your credit scores will not drop as much with foreclosures compared to short sale, and the waiting years or the waiting period to get a new loan if you want to. Okay. So always advise your client, hey, you're going through a foreclosure, you're not able to make your payments. Let's try a short sales before we go through a foreclosure. If you don't take any action, obviously the bank will take over through a foreclosure and it will have a much more negative effect on you. Okay. So if you do go through a bankruptcy, FHA might be the best option because you only have to wait 2 years versus 4. Okay. So this was an interesting article saying that maybe you should buy a house with your friends, right? Some people think it's a great idea. Some people not. Some people have invested multiple times with their friends and there's no issues. And sometimes you get a house or property with one of your friends and you have so many issues with that. So let's talk a little bit about that. So if you're going to go ahead and buy a property with a friend, just know the pros. One is that maybe you're renting by it right now and you simply cannot buy a house on your own. So maybe you need that friend that would allow you to have shared the financial responsibilities, which is buying a friend will allow you to split your burden of your home ownership, including your down payment, your mortgage payment, your property taxes or maintenance costs. So everything that you guys have as a total expense, you guys are dividing it because there's two partners, right? And obviously maybe on your own you can qualify for $400,000 house, and with a friend maybe you qualify for $600,000 house. Okay, so your buying power is increased when you have a buyer or when you have a friend added to your loan. How about the negatives? How about if your friend loses that job, right? They might have a steady job and all of a sudden they lose that job and you're still making those monthly payments, right? How that's going to be sorted out, right? How about if you want to move out of that state and you want to sell your share? Maybe you this was a college friend and now you say, "Hey, I want to sell my share." How are you going to do that? Maybe the other party doesn't want to sell that house. So we always say if you have two or three people on a deed, everybody has to agree before you can sell your house. Okay? It can't be just one or two-person. Everybody has to agree to that. So this may be your best or worst decision of your life. The reason we bring this up, you want to tell your clients if they want to add a co-signer as a family friend or anybody that they want to add, just make sure that they can trust them, right? That they will be sticking with them for a longer time. So this is for you guys. Could someone take a guess here? How long? Because this matters, right? You're gonna be asking your clients to sign an agreement with you that, hey, I'm gonna find you properties and I'm going to show you X amount of houses. So this was a survey done by NAR, our National Association of Realtors. How long does it take to find a house? So buyers search for, how many weeks do you think they search for? And how many houses do you think they look at? Anyone? A month, 2 months, or if you want to say in weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 20 weeks? How many weeks do you think it takes for you to find the right house? Anyone? It's just a total guess. Doesn't have to be right. You can't find nobody a house within a week, right? It's really tough because there's not enough inventory. You think 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 20 weeks? Anyone?
About 4 months.
About 4 months? And
Yeah.
how many houses?
Wait for them to find or decide.
Yeah, how many properties would you show them within those?
Oh, it depends if they're serious buyers. If they're serious buyers, I'll show them as much as possible until they find that property. But if I show them maybe like four strong properties that I think are good and they're not interested, I'd probably stop. But I'll say about maybe six to 10.
Okay, 6 to 10. Okay, so 6 to 10. So according to the survey, it was about 10 weeks, right? 2.5 months. So you're saying 4 months. Again, it's perfectly fine. So your contract should be around 4 months. Hey, this is what I think that I can find you a right property within 4 months, and I'm gonna show you definitely if it's 4 months more houses. But look at this, within 10 weeks, about 7 homes. So this survey was done about 1,000 people or more. So you guys can see the stats here. So your job should be when you're talking to your clients, hey, let's sign this agreement with me, right? You're gonna work with me. I want you to sign this agreement. I'm gonna show you X amount of houses, and I need this agreement to be this long. So keep it very realistic. So you don't have to choose 10 weeks, which is 2.5 months. You guys can choose 4 months, 6 months, as long as the other party agree to it. But when it comes to showing the properties, you don't want to show them garbage, right? Simply put, you don't want to show them something that they're not interested in. So you have to vet that out. So in the beginning, maybe the first 5 properties you're showing them, really get a sense out of it. Hey, out of those 5 properties, what they really liked and what they didn't like, right? And focus on what they did like. Make note of the things that they didn't like. So make sure that the next property that you show, it doesn't include the things that they don't like, right? So if it do have that feature and that they don't like this, mention that beforehand. Hey, you mentioned that we had this issue in the basement for the other property. This one, it does not have that issue, right? Stuff like that. So you want to vet those out, filter them out, so this way you guys can go under contract quickly as possible. Before, you maybe had leads that was sitting in your database for a long time. Guys, that will change dramatically after July. You guys will see that. So I want to prepare every one of you guys that your database is not secure anymore. Just because there's so many buyers is going to be working with so many other agents exclusively. So if you don't have an agreement with them, that is not your client anymore. Okay? So when your clients are getting getting a pre-approval or going to a loan officer, usually the loan officers are looking at 4 C's. So this is a 4 C's of credit. Your number one is your character. This refers to your credit history. which is the borrower's, are their track record basically to repay their debt. Do you have any credit history? You can't buy a $500,000 house if you don't own any credit card. We don't know if you can manage that credit card, maybe $500 limit versus a $500,000 property. So, do you have that character built? Number two is your capacity. Can you repay that? What does your debt to income ratio look like? That's what the lenders always say. Hey, we're gonna give you a 30-year mortgage, assuming that you can make these payments for next 30 years, but at least show us the last 2 years of your income, so we can project that the next 30 years you can make it. Can we be sure that you're gonna be sticking with that particular job for next 30 years? Absolutely not. That's why they say, hey, as long as you are working in one field, you can switch your jobs, but can you make your payments on time? What does your debt to income ratio look like? Okay. Next is your capital. How much do you have to invest? Right? What does your savings look like? What is your investments? What are you like to put down as your down payment? Right? Don't forget your closing cost. So all of that will be included in your capital. And for your collateral, this is going to be the house. What are you going to use to secure this loan? So if you cannot pay this mortgage back, what will the bank get? They will get that house. They will sell that house through a short sale or foreclosure and get their money back. So these four C's are really important. Just make sure your client does have enough history. If you're just talking to a first-time home buyer, have these conversations so you can guide them. All these slides that we're showing you should be, hopefully you take one or two things and put in your presentation. So when you're talking to your clients and say, hey, this would matter when you're getting a mortgage. Okay. And maybe you want to advise your homeowners to upgrade if possible, right? If there's a kitchen, you see that the cabinets are really beat up and everything, and if they want to remodel, you guys can see here, even a minor kitchen remodeling sees the average of above 81% of ROI, your return on investment. So this is a major thing. If you see some things, when you're especially listing a property, if you guys can get it fixed, so this will bring your property value higher for sure. Okay. So this is again for one of you guys. Hopefully you guys can answer this. If your home buyer was to buy a property today, it could be yourself or it could be your client, for $600,000 in Long Island today, what is the value you think that the home value may be in 10 years? Anyone. If it's $600,000 today, you think it will go to $700,000 in 10 years? 800, 900, a million, 2 million? What do you think? Because this is what your client may ask you. Right here in this area, if I'm buying a $600,000 property in Long Island, what my value will be in about 10 years? Any guesses? Anyone? Shito, you have sold many properties with that price range now, 600,000. What do you think that the value will be for a property in 10 years?
If it's 600,000 in Long Island,
In Long Island, you're buying it today for 600. What do you think in 10 years though? It should be definitely more
I
than
think 800.
800. Okay,
Yeah.
800,000. All right. So
Yeah, because everything's going expensive, nothing going down.
okay. So yeah, everything should be going up. If we tell our
Yeah.
clients, hey, let's find a property that's $600,000 today, in 10 years it's gonna be worth $500,000. He's gonna say, why would I want to invest in this, right? We want them to get some equity built. How do they build equity? In two ways you build equity, which is your profit. One is to pay off the loan, which you're doing on mortgage payment on a regular basis, and second is for your the home value to increase over years. So next 10 years, the price should go up. So according to the stats here, this property is going to have a value of over $900,000 at rate of 4.37. This is the forecasted appreciation. So this is even on the lower end, right? So if you go historical, it's usually 5 or more. So we kept it on the lower end. Even at 4%, you're looking at around $900,000 in 10 years. Okay, that's a big number for them. So in 10 years, when they're selling this house, they have built over $300,000 to $400,000 in equity. when they're selling it, now this could be their retirement money, and they can thank you, promote for buying this house 10 years ago. Okay, so this scenario here that we're showing you, this was for New York State, County Nassau, $600,000 property with 20% down payment, added closing cost here. And when we say when you want to buy a house, you're not going to see the appreciation price right away or the home value increase right away, right? It is a longer process. So you can see here in year one compared to year two, year three, there's not a big gap or much of a difference. It is going higher, but not as much as when you see comparing it from 1 to 10. So when you're talking to your clients, a real estate is going to be a long-term game. If you're willing to wait, if you're willing to build some equity over the years, you can definitely do it. Okay. There are times where these clients are not building equity. This is when they maybe have a bad mortgage. Maybe they have a arm loan, meaning their mortgage is adjusting all the time and they're not building equity. So that's why you need to talk to your clients and make sure first-time home buyers, they always go with a fixed rate mortgage so there's no surprises down the line. Okay. These little conversations will help you with your clients. Okay. Next, guys, is your affordability with no debt versus if you just bought a new car and your car payment is $700 per month. So if a household income is $120,000 with their down payment of $60,000, no debt, right? Because they're prepared. They have credit cards. Does not mean they don't have credit cards. They have credit cards, but they don't have any minimum payments to make because they're not using those credit cards. So they paid off their credit cards. The interest rates, we're going to use 7%. And let's say the property taxes are around $8,000 for this particular client. This person can qualify for $617,000. So if they are 617, now they bought a new car and that's $700, they qualify for almost $100,000 lower, right? Or a little bit over that. So before they qualify for 617, because they bought this new car, they qualify for 512. The reason we're showing you this is because some people will buy a car or have a monthly debt increase assuming, hey, it's only $100, so it's not going to affect me as much. But you guys can see here is a huge difference when you have zero debt versus 700 per month. Okay, nothing else changed in this scenario. So again, tell your clients if you're trying to buy a house, please do not make any big purchases because whatever pre-approval that you have now, it will change if you buy this new car or new furniture or anything that's going to be a big purchase where you have to make monthly payments. Okay. So why we keep saying that you need to have your DTI, your debt to income ratio, as low as possible, because you don't want your clients to go through what we see in these articles here, that hey, Americans are skipping meals, vacations to afford their housing cost. So maybe with FHA loan, they went with 54% DTI, which is the max you can go on FHA. That means 54% of their paycheck is going towards mortgage. They have other expenses, right? So this article is exactly what we've been talking meeting after meeting, making sure your clients can actually afford that property. The loan officers are actually doing all their work to make sure that they can this person can afford this property, but just the debt to income ratio low as possible. Even if you want to buy your own house soon, right, you want to make sure your debt to income ratio is not maxing out, because you will have harder time to make those payments. On the other hand, if your debt to income ratio is on the lower end, you can easily make that mortgage payment and not have any issues. Okay. And the last thing is that you don't want to tell your clients, hey, let's increase your offer because it's going to be only few dollars extra on your mortgage, right? I hear that a lot from our agents or other agents out there, and we don't want that. Even those few $100, maybe $50, $100, will make a big effect on your clients. Okay, if they choose to increase their offer, let them do it. Okay. Next, guys, you really need to know, especially now, because you're going to be bringing a lot more value to your clients. You need to know what is their needs versus what their wants are. So needs is something you cannot compromise, right? Needs are something must have. If I'm going to buy a house, I need X amount of bedrooms. Maybe I need two, maybe I need three, maybe I need five bedrooms. Whatever your bedrooms criteria is, you usually cannot compromise that. Your bathrooms, same way. Maybe you have a car and you want to make sure that you're coming home from work every day, maybe at 10 o'clock at night. You don't want to look for parking. Maybe you had that issue when you were renting. Now you want to buy a house, you want to have a private driveway. So that is a need for you. Maybe your kids are going to schools, maybe middle school, high school, and you need to make sure that they're in good schools. Maybe Miranda, maybe you show them a property, everything else is good, and all of a sudden they say, hey, the schools are terrible, right? They cannot go to a different school zone or anything like that because they live in that area now. They're not going to go through a private schools, they're going to go to public schools. So schools matter so much. If everything checks off, schools don't, that's a no deal for that client. So you need to make sure that the property you're showing them does have good schools around it if necessary, right? And maybe they want to be close to family and their work, right? Maybe they don't want to drive 40 miles every day. They shouldn't be driving 40 miles. So you want to make sure that it's close enough to their family and their work. Wants, this is something that they want. According to the survey here, those outdoor features and laundry rooms were amongst the most wanted features. So let's review those features, what they really want. So when you're doing a walkthrough or you're showing them the properties and if you see something like a laundry room, right? You can say, hey, this is a plus point. They have a separate laundry room. Most people do want a laundry room. You bought a house, now you don't want to go to a regular local laundromat. You want to do your laundry at your house. Perfectly fine. A lot of 86% people would want that. Some people would want patio. So if you see patio, mention that, hey, this patio looks great or it needs some work. Exterior lighting. These are some things that they want. They can always add these features to the property. So these should not be a deal breaker. The deal breaker should be what they really need. Okay? But maybe they were looking for hardwood floor and all of a sudden you show them so many other properties and this one is carpeted. If everything checks off, this should not be a deal breaker. Okay, walk-in pantry. Again, a lot of people would love that. If that property does not have it, should not be a deal breaker for you. Okay, so all these features, you are more than welcome when we share this. You can share this with your clients as well. Okay, so we had this issue with one of our clients, one of our agents right now, right? So at the showing, there was a washer and dryer, right? At the showing time, the washer and dryers are there. On MLS, it says washer and dryers are not included. Okay? And now, during the home inspection, the washer is not working. Now the buyer's attorney is saying that, hey, we need to have this washer in working order or remove it, right? They didn't say replace it with a brand new one. So you really want to be careful, especially if you're the listing agent, that, hey, I need to make sure, is this washer and dryer in working order? If yes, I want to make sure that I put it on MLS that, hey, washer and dryers will be included. So the good thing about this with our agent here, he mentioned on MLS that, hey, washer and dryers are not included. So what they have to do now in this case to resolve this issue, simply remove that washer. Okay? But if it's on MLS, if it says, hey, it was included in there, then that person had to make sure, the owner had to make sure that either the washer is in working order, or if it cannot be fixed, they have to get a brand new one. Okay? So it can cost them a few $100s, and that might be a problem for the listing agent because they put that on MLS, the washer and dryer is included when the homeowner is saying that, hey, I'm not going to fix it, I'm not going to include it. Okay? Other red flags when you're showing them properties is that, if the doors are not closing, that might be a problem. You need to have that fixed. If there's any foundation cracks, you want to make sure that that is resolved, because not just the home buyer, but the home insurance policy is going to come up with those issues. They want those issues fixed as well. Okay, if you see any insects there, you want to make sure that the pest control is there. Make sure that those are cleaned up. If any water stains, that shows you that, hey, maybe there was some sort of water damage to that property. Or if you see a sloping floors, that means, at least some of the floors is going up or down. That means there was some water damage to it. So you want to represent the client when you're showing them the property. Make sure that you point out the negatives. Those are more important than the positives, because the positives your client can see as well. Mention those, but the negatives, do mention, hey, I see this issue, I see that issue, and make notes. So this way, when you're putting in an offer, you guys can justify that. Okay. All right, guys. Any questions, concerns, anything on your mind? All right, guys. Next, I want you guys to start sharing your videos and photos with us as a company, so we can post it online for you guys. So, Shito, big ups to you, man. You have been really outperformed everybody the first quarter of this year. I hope you keep up in the second quarter and, until the end of the year, because you're on the right track. The leads that you're getting, the follow up I'm seeing with you, you're devoting so much time. You're really on top of it. You're following up with the attorneys, you're following up with the loan officers. You're doing everything in your power to make sure you're taking your clients to the closing. This is exactly what we want others to follow. The reason we're pointing you out is because we see your hard work. Okay, out of 70
Thank you
agents.
very much. Thank you
Yeah,
very much for this.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And we see this, and we want
And
to
I
just keep you.
also I
Go
am
ahead.
sorry to disturb you.
No, no.
I'm also grateful to you because you are always standing behind me,
Oh,
always
thank you,
helping whenever I need it.
thank you. Like
You and Mr. Yes, both of them.
thank you so much. Yeah. So, like I said, from our end, we can provide you with the tools. We're providing the same tools to 70 agents, right? If one agent is going through 5 deals in one time and the others are not, that means something is sticking out. So it's just not us on the tools; it's your hustle. So thank you for promoting us. But I think end of the day, it's you. So it's always going to be the agent who's actually, because you're on the field, right? You're the one who's following up with your clients, and the numbers show. So hopefully you stay up to date with that, right? Stick to the same plan that you're doing. So for videos and audio, videos or photos, anything that you guys take on your end, just send it to me or send it to our office number here. We'll be more than happy to share that and give you a shout out on our channels there. Okay. So thank you, Shito. All right, guys. Next we have is that as soon as you see a property on KV Core coming soon, right? You should be taking action. You want to, because sometime your client has a listing on or search alerts on Zillow, but they only have it for sale that's available today, but not coming soon. So you want to beat those alerts. Say, hey, this property is not on the market yet. It's coming soon, and hopefully it will be the first open house is on April 14th. Today's the 10th. So let's go see this property. You want to be on that level where you're showing your clients that you're staying up to date with the market. So this property here is in Valley Stream, coming soon for 725. Has 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath. Right, the square foot is pretty good, around 1,700 square feet, versus your lot size is on the smaller end on in Valley Stream. Right, Valley Stream we usually see 50 by 100 lot size. This one is about 40 by 100. But the square feet, usually we see 12 to 1,300 square feet build size. This one, the build size is around 1,700. So it's a big, that's a good size there. So how would I price it? Your client would say, hey, I want to put in an offer. My goal is to go to Adam Geodata first. Look at the stats here. You can see that according to Geodata, maybe on the highest end is 620, almost $100,000 less than what they're asking for. Versus your RPR. RPR is showing you around $700,000, right? And on the lower end, 617, on the higher end, 785. So obviously you don't want to put it 785 because they're asking for 725. On one end, the Geodata is giving you 620. RPR is giving you 700. Maybe your offer should be around 690 to start off with, right? The lot size is not as big as we would want, but the square feet is. They're asking for 700, 725. Maybe 690 should be our starting point. Okay. Every realtor will be coming up with different numbers. It's perfectly fine. You are representing your buyer. You want them to save much money as possible. So start on the lower end. On the other hand, you don't want to start off where you're putting down, you're going down low bowling $200, $300,000 lower. That's not going to happen. We see that with, $1.3 million properties. This happened recently as well. One of our agents saying, hey, the property is listed for 1.4 million, but my client is keep saying that put $300,000 less. So it's a complete waste of time for everyone. So if he's going to be lowballing, show these screenshots to your client. Hey, how could I put it for like this property? How could I offer them $500,000 when the data or these stats are showing that it's at least 620 or on the highest end 785, right? On the highest end. So show them screenshots when it's needed. If you don't have access to RPR, please schedule a meeting with me. This is part of your MLS membership. You should have full access to that. Same thing for Geodata. It's a company-based account. Everyone should have access to it. If you need any help with these two, these are the most important tools that you have when you're putting in offers. Okay. All right, guys. So we mentioned you can, go through these meetings, you can learn all that, but if you don't have any leads in your database, that means you don't have any business. So the question that we get is, how do we get leads? Number one, it should be Zillow, right? Zillow around December, after November, we mentioned that, hey, anybody that does not want to promote themselves on Zillow because the conversion was not there, we saw 8% interest rate from October, November, and December. So we recommended that you guys pause your budget or your advertisement on Zillow. And now we're seeing the opposite because the springtime is here and we feel like there's a lot more buyers out there. So why not promote yourself and get some Zillow leads? So the way Zillow works is that they don't care about when you close that lead. As long as they're providing you with that lead, they're going to charge you on monthly basis, right? So maybe you want to start off your budget at $200. So if you have a budget of $200 per month, you want to see where is that $200 is spent well. You don't want to spend it where you're not getting enough leads. So you want to compare that. So I always recommend that we, create a chart with at least 3 to 5 different zip codes and see a couple of different things. One is that I want to see the amount that I'm paying on all the zip codes. I want to compare $200 because my budget is not changing. Okay. Next, I want to see what does that $200 gives me. One is my ranking, right? Because I'm competing with other real estate agents out there. What does my rank look like? Am I going to be number 1 or am I going to be number 10th? Right? If you're ranked number 10, there's a good chance you're not going to get any leads. If you're number 1, you should be getting a lot more leads, but it's going to be costing you a lot more. And not just the rank, but how many leads are they going to give me? So those 4 things would matter: your zip code, your amount, your rank, and lead. So for 11420 here, my rank is going to be 6, and they're going to give me 5 leads. For Valley Stream, my rank is going to be 3, right? I'm going to be above, top 3 there, and they're going to give me 6 leads. So Elmont, rank 4th, leads 7. And another zip code here, 11003, rank number 2, which is really good, and lead 6. So any of you guys here, which zip code would you pick? If you were to spend $200, which one would you pick? Sheeta, you have been doing advertisement on Zillow. So when you see leads like this, in this case here, either I would go with this one here because my rank is number 3. That means I'm going to be showing and my lead count is going to be 6. Or I'm going to go with this one here. My rank is going to be 2. That means I'm going to be above everyone else and they're going to give me 6 leads. So compare that with at least 3 to 5 different zip codes and see which zip code that you want to go with. So Zillow does allow you to change the zip codes from time to time. Which they don't allow you to do is to decrease your budget. So start off with maybe as low as possible and then increase it accordingly. Okay. But when it comes to rank and lead count, that what matters. So if you are interested on Zillow.com/premier agent, you guys can see this here. You guys gonna click on join. If you already have an account, click on sign in and just fill out this form. Zillow's agent is gonna contact you and you should be promoting yourself from there. They will give you a portal, and exactly in that portal, you're gonna be doing this research that we mentioned. Hey, my $200, what rank and how many leads they're gonna give me on that zip code there. Okay. So what does your buyer, when they're on Zillow.com, when they're connecting with an agent, so they may see this property in Valley Stream and they want to request a tour, they can click on this icon here, request tour, or click on contact an agent. So the list, Zillow will take that information, give it to the person who's advertising with them. But there's so many buyers out there, especially the first time home buyers. They really think that they're about to get connected with the listing agent. Right? This happened recently as well. One of the same agent that I was giving you an earlier example, the same client that wanted to lowball $300,000. He's well qualified, but he thinks that he's going to get a bargain in this market, and it's not the case. So he's trying to think that, hey, buyer's agent is just there just to get the commission and everything. So I'm going to try to connect with the listing agent, right? He's going to learn the hard way. He did, because he got connected through Zillow a couple of times with different agents, assuming that it was listing agents, and he realized, no, they're actually buyer's agents. Okay? That's how Zillow is making money. Realtor.com is doing the same exact thing. Opcity is paused right now, so you guys cannot get any new leads from Opcity. So the other way is going to be Realtor.com. Same exact steps for Zillow. So you guys can choose which platform that you guys are going to go with. Okay. If you guys want the expired listings, right? Some agents do ask me, hey, why would I want to purchase expired listing? I can see everything on MLS. Hey, these listings were expired, but you don't see the owner's phone numbers. This one will give you the homeowners' phone numbers, and you can connect with them. We had a listing expired, then it was extended the same day. And when we connect, this was 9:30 in the morning. We called the agent, or we called the homeowner and said, hey, you might be getting some phone calls today. He said he already received 5 of them. This is between 9 and 9:30. Within half an hour, that means there's some agents out there. This could be Monday morning, Tuesday morning, doesn't matter what day it is. They don't look at the time. They say, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I purchased these expired listings list. I'm going to connect with them. So, expired listing is one of those ways where you can call your homeowner and say, hey, I don't know what happened. Sheldon, it is according to MLS, but I will get more information. It's been almost 2 months that I didn't follow up with them, but I will follow up with them and let you know, right? But when it comes to expired listing, the conversation you want to have with them is that, hey, maybe your other agent did not perform well. How many open houses did they host? How many showings did they have? I'm going to try to do a lot more than them. Whatever the commission was, I'm going to see what I can do. How long was that agreement for? I'm going to shorten that and try to get you under contract. Those are the conversation these other realtors are having. So why not you? Okay. If you want to get a listing for a list of all the for sale by owners, you can do that for $49.99 on RedX. So you have to have a pipeline where you're getting leads from different sources. So you just don't want to be stuck with one thing. Okay, postcards. We have few agents who are really heavy with postcards. Ravi is one of them, right? This is a new batch that he's sending out this week, and he's going to have a target for one area, and he's just promoting it. The key to postcards is to have a consistency, send to the same group of people a couple of different times. So it cannot be just, hey, I'm sending postcards to one area one time and I forget about it. You will not get any results. So you got to pick an area and send it to them at least 2 or 3 different times so you can get some results out of it. So not just buyers, but you get actual listings from these postcards. Okay, so he, put in all the property that he have sold. You guys can customize it in your own way. We can design it for you. So if you guys want to do the postcards, pick your area. If you have no idea how to do this, just come to the office. Let's go over the postcard system here. Okay. Office leads, some of you guys say, hey, I already filled out this form. Why do I have to do it again? Because we run out of leads and we want you to actually fill this form out every 2 weeks. So, we will be sending out messages in WhatsApp group and Teams to fill this form out every 2 weeks. So do this. So this way, when we see your name on that list, we should be sending you a lead, an office lead which is going to be 60/40. Okay. And these are no cost leads. The following, right? Your family, your friends. You want to network with other loan officers, right? You want to have a connect with them. Your social media. Again, Shita, we pointing you out again because we see you not just on the closing side, but on social media as well. You're promoting yourself a lot more. The views are increasing for you, and hopefully the following and end of the day, hopefully you get some lead conversion out of those Facebook, IG, or your TikTok, right? Those social media is not, it is time consuming, but at the end of the day, if you can get any leads from it, conversion from it, that will be something that it'll be, going in your favor. And as a real estate agent, you're trying to build relationships, guys, right? It's not a short time. You really need to know your client. You really need to bring some value to the client, and they really need to believe in you that, hey, you know what you're doing and you can really take them to the closing table. Okay. How about if you have 1,000 leads, right? Some of you guys, I check your database, right? Sometimes I select random agent and see how many leads you guys have. And I see, hey, some of you guys have over 100 leads. And then I look at the alerts. Hey, out of these 100, how many alerts are set up? Sometimes less than 10%, right? If there's no follow-up, there's no business. What's the point of getting office leads? What's the point of spending money on Zillow or Realtor.com or on your postcards if you're not going to follow up with your clients, right? So you need to know your clients, what they really want, what they really need. You're putting them in alerts and you're sending them properties. If you're not showing them every week, someone else is. Okay? They're going to open houses directly if you don't have the time to take them. So follow up is going to be the major one after you get that lead. Okay? And this is what your buyer thinks, and you have to prove them wrong, right? Buyers think that the buyer's agent is just there for the commission, right? Or they're there just to turn on the lights. Is one of those expressions meaning like, you don't do anything. You're just there to show me the property. After that, everybody else is taking me to the table, to the closing table. Is that true? You should not agree to this at all. Okay? What you really want them to feel is like, hey, this is what you're doing for them. You're finding them a property. You're showing them properties, right? You're doing the research when you're putting in an offer. You're not just going them telling them, hey, it's $1 million house. Let's put $1 million offer. No, let me do the research for you. Let me see what the price should be. I have the tools. I'm going to do the comps for you and compare this property with others. I'm going to guide you with the contingency. I want to make sure your home inspection, your bank appraisal, your mortgage contingency is in the contract so you're protected, right? I'm going to follow up with the attorneys and the loan officer and make sure that your file is clear to close. Your buyer's attorney is going to be following up with the title company to make sure we have the title and we have a clear title, right? And how about the final walkthrough? You're showing them at a final walkthrough, and if you're the listing agent, and you have a closing within 24 hours and you see something negative, do you think the listing agent will try to make a big deal out of it? Absolutely not. The listing agent is representing the seller. He wants that closing. He want to get paid quickly. So he's going to be like, hey, no, it's not a big issue. Hey, that can be resolved later. On the other hand, if it's a buyer agent, I want to hold some money in escrow to fix that issue. Whatever that issue is, I want to have some sort of money in escrow. So you have to tell your clients, hey, this is how I'm going to protect you. Maybe everything goes well in the first stages and you feel like I'm going to be working with the listing agent and you want to skip me. You're going to have some issues at the final walkthrough. So mention these things to your clients so they know that you're bringing some value to the table for them. Okay. Next, guys, we have 2 new properties that's coming on auctions, Property Sharks. I made it on my list here. I will be sharing a PDF file with you guys for Nassau and Queens later on today. But there's no harm, guys. There's no There's no negative thing about going to these auctions, even if you don't have any clients, if you don't have, a property to buy yourself. You're a real estate agent. You have the right to know what's on the market. This property is in Valley Stream. The lien is about $482,000. You guys can see here, the time is happening today at 4 o'clock, right? It's a short notice. Maybe you cannot go there today. How about this one here is in East Meadow, and this auction is happening tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Maybe you guys can go there tomorrow at 2. So make a habit of start going there. I'm not telling you to go there every single week, but just make a habit of going there, because you will find investors. Maybe you will build some connections, and you will network with other real estate agents out there. Get your name out there. Go there with your business cards. Okay. We have a few minutes left here, guys, so I'm going to try to slide through here with our core brokerage agreement. This is this form that will make sure that you get paid. As I don't care if the property's on MLS or if it's not on MLS, as long as I have an offer accepted, I want my agent, the listing agent, to sign this agreement so I know how much I'm getting paid, and I'm going to be using this as an invoice when the time comes at the closing. Okay. You will not see, starting July, you will not see any commissions amount on MLS. So get ready for this. So get ready to negotiate with the listing agent how much you're going to get paid. So whatever the first number that they give you, you don't have to agree to that. If they say I'm going to give you 1%, maybe you can ask for more. It's all negotiation skills. Okay, so try to get paid from your listing side or the buyer side. If you're going to be working with the buyers, as we mentioned, you need to have written agreements after July. So make sure you are on top of that. You're comfortable with that. I got a phone call from our agent, and I feel like that agent is able to get these presentations. I have a presentation and have these agreements signed, but they just feel like, hey, I'm not too sure. The market is going to get tough. I don't know if I want to be a real estate agent or not. I told them the same thing. There's so many agents thinking the same thing. I'm not sure if I'm going to be selling properties or buying properties for my clients next year or not because of these market changes, right? You have to decide that. We as a brokerage, we can give you all the tools that you want, all the tools that you need. But at the same time, if you're not going to take any action on it, there's no way you're going to have these agreements signed. So you need to have that conversation with your clients, get comfortable with it. Maybe your first presentation will not be great, right? Maybe you will have hiccups. It's perfectly fine. You got to learn that. You need to tell them, hey, this is on the next presentation, it will get a little bit better. Hey, these are the mistakes I made on the first one. I'm not going to mention those, or I missed out these conversations. I'm going to mention those on the next one. Okay. So the perfection is going to come over time, but just getting your feet in the water just to get the ball rolling, that part needs to come. It's going to be a little bit of struggle. We're going to see that in after July, but I just want every one of you guys to be on that note where he's like, hey, I have no problem telling my clients, hey, this is the value I bring to the table. You have to sign an agreement with me. Okay. And why should the buyer work with you, right? What value do you bring? The presentation, is it printed? Is it on PDF? I would recommend that you actually have a printout. You have this office here. If you need to have those presentations printed out, come to the office beforehand. We print those presentations for you, so you give one copy to your client, right? With the folder, with the LJ Realty folder, with your business card, that makes you look professional. Okay. The commission that you're going to charge, the agreement time, we mentioned that many, many times now. So I feel like you guys shouldn't have a notion, but the presentation, I don't think we saw enough agents come to the office yet to have their presentation printed out. So I would want to see that change coming in next weeks or next coming months. Okay. All right, guys, we have a few minutes left here. Any questions, concerns so far? So for joining teams, guys, we have 2 teams now, purple and gold, Sheldon and Rupinder, right? Those are 2 teams that we have. Blue team is gone. We have consolidated that. So purple and gold. So if you need to reach out to these agents, you can, and they'll be a good helping hand for you guys. Okay. Our mortgage teams, we have over 16 loan officers. We are, licensed in 6 states. We can really get your guys pre-approved quickly as possible. We can get them to closing quickly as possible. So if you're going about to go under contract, have your client come to the office just to get second opinion if they need. Otherwise, they can stick with their current agent or their loan officer. But your job as a real estate agent should be connecting with their loan officer. It doesn't have to be us. It could be any of them. Build that relationship because you guys have a mutual client, right? You're showing that person gave the pre-approval. Make sure you're working with them. You're going to be following with that loan officer until closing. So build good relationship. Even if things go south, right? Things are not looking up. Just stay professional all the time, guys, because you never know. Maybe on the next deal, you may have to work with that client or that agent again. Okay. All right, guys. We are running out of time. So, any questions, comments, any feedback, anywhere we can be better? All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Again, Sheetal, thank you so much for performing the way you are. Keep it up, guys. Everyone else, please follow the way Sheetal is doing right now, and hopefully we all can be on his level. All right, thank you so much for joining, guys. You guys take care.
Thank you very much, guys.
You're welcome. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Yes. Correct. Yeah. But you know the difference, the 2% and the, yeah, the total.